This is CBC Here and Now.
A man had stopped in the roadway and exited his vehicle and assaulted a 90-year-old man.
Police investigating after a violent case of suspected road rage. A senior is recovering after police say another driver punched him at this intersection in Mount Pearl.
I love having my buddy dog.
And later, meet the latest graduation class from Guide Dog School. We'll introduce you to Ivy and Maple. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain. It is an assault that has shocked the entire province. A 90-year-old man punched right in the face. Here Now's Peter Cowan joins us live from our newsroom. So, Peter, what happened here?
Well, Bill Short is 90 years old, but he still likes to drive, and he was driving along Commonwealth Avenue in Mount Pearl yesterday when this incident happened, and here's how his niece describes it.
Something must have happened or went down, and I guess he hauled in, and whoever was upset with him hauled in also and basically just punched him in the face. He was quite shocked, actually. I mean, a 90-year-old person don't expect a slap in the face like this. This is unreal.
Short went to the hospital, but he's now released and recovering at home. And what everyone wants to know is who would do this. The police are looking for anyone who was in the area yesterday between 12 and 1 p.m. and may have footage from a dash cam or security camera.
With the assistance of the public, we feel that we can get somewhere on this and identify the suspect involved. This is certainly an upsetting incident, and we feel that by working together, we can certainly identify a suspect.
Now, the police do have a few details, and they're looking for someone between 30 and 40 who was driving an orange sedan, and the plate, they believe, was ending in 892. Now, they're hoping anyone who may have some information, may have seen what happens, or an idea of who that suspect might be, will give them or Crime Stoppers a call. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Well, from road rage to road paving now. Pavement and politics, well, they've gone hand in hand ever since the invention of the automobile. And using numbers from the Finance Department, the official opposition has some questions about why the Minister of Transportation, Steve Crocker, has so many nice new roads in his district of Carbonear, Trinity, Bay de Verde. Now, the most spending happens in Liberal Lisa Dempster's riding of Cartwright-Lansinclair. And that makes sense, though, because there is the Trans-Labrador Highway project there. Second is Siobhan Cody's district of St. John's West at $17 million, but there is the Team Guzhou Highway. Steve Crocker's district is third in spending at just over $9 million. And when you crunch the paving spending numbers in Steve Crocker's district, well, it gets interesting. In 2016, a mere $965,000 went to paving in Carbonear, Trinity Bay de Verde. In 2017, $2.4 million to pave the roads and streets in the minister's district. But then, 2018 just so happens to be an election year, a big jump, $9.2 million for paving. Now, when you drive around Carbonear, Trinity Bay de Verde to enjoy the beautiful scenery there, you do notice that there are a lot of smooth roads in Steve Crocker's district, and you can zip around the area without worrying about bumps and thuds because of all the fine paving work that's been done there leading up to the election. MHAs, even within the same party, can get pretty jealous when they see another district getting lots of new asphalt. Paving has always made for good politics because it's a goodie that voters can see and politicians can boast about it and campaign on it. And when you're the minister generously paving your own district, you become an opposition target.
Your district has received $24 million in roadwork since 2016, up to including the coming year, while your neighbouring Liberal district has received less than $5 million. Don't you think this is a case of, Minister, of you taking advantage of your position?
I'm not going to apologise for investing money in roads throughout the province. I have a district that has great economic opportunity. Almost 25% of the seafood in the province is transported on Route 70 and Veterans Memorial Highway, Mr. Speaker.
There's 39 other districts in the province, not just one. And it's absolutely disgusting to watch and read what I read in the ATIP request, and he can't justify what he spent in his own district. They took the politics out of paving, not us. They need to live up their actions. They got to match the words.
Oh, yeah.
And they laugh for the laughter comes. We never
please.
took it out, Mr. Speaker. We've never advocated for it. They did. But they need to stop fooling the electorate. They're not fooling me or anyone on this side. So, Minister, will you commit to having an independent assessment completed on our provincial roads, not your own little 5-year roads mock-up you got done, where all the scores be made public independently, and this will truly take the politics out of paving and stop trying to fool the people of this province?
We have conversations all the time in this House with regards to road work and how things are done, Mr. Speaker. And the member opposite, has those conversations. Then he stands up here today and tries to slander what I've done, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I advocate for infrastructure for the people I represent, absolutely 100%. But, Mr. Speaker, realise we've spent $154 million this year on roads in our province.
This is a taste of what the audience can expect to see and hear tonight at the Basilica in St. John's. The Atlantic Boy Choir, along with narrator Greg Malone, will perform a Christmas truce, paying tribute to a powerful moment in history when German and British soldiers laid down their weapons, left the trenches, and celebrated Christmas Day together. It was a brief moment of peace and hope during the horror of World War I. Coming up, I'll speak with Greg Malone and conductor Jacob Martinez about why this true story is still so relevant 105 years later.
No denying it has been a wet 24 to 36 hours for most of the Avalon. That low pressure system that brought us all that rain is slowly moving offshore, but we do have another one moving in right on its heels, and that's going to bring some more rain, not nearly as much as we saw, but more rain through the day tomorrow. Already have a wreck house wind warning in place. We're looking at gusts near 120 kilometers per hour for you in the morning. And then windy conditions will continue as we head into the afternoon tomorrow, but it is looking like it's going to be another gray, cool start tomorrow morning. I'll have all the weekend details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Federal Conservative leader Andrew Scheer was in Gander this afternoon. He met with the mayors of Gander as well as Gambo and people with the Gander Chamber of Commerce. Now, the event was not open to the media. Scheer is headed to Halifax next for tomorrow's International Security Forum. This week's visit to Gander happens just as members of the province's PCs decide to get together and meet for their big annual general meeting. Well, there's a messy and costly problem in Paradise that apparently has been solved. The town's sewage lift station broke in August. That sent sewage spewing in the air and over a neighbor's property. The town had temporary pumps installed and trucks to haul away the sewage. It took about a week. The total cost of the fix, more than $1.5 million. The town says, though, it's able to absorb that cost in its 2019 budget, and it'll do that partly by deferring some other projects to next year. Now, the neighbor whose property was smothered in sewage is in talks with the town to buy his home, but the town says it won't speak publicly about those negotiations out of respect for the homeowner's privacy. Newfoundland and Labrador has loosened up its limits on how much liquor, beer, and wine you can bring home from other parts of Canada. Well, now up to 6 liters of spirits, that's 5 40-ounces of booze, 18 liters of wine, or 2 dozen bottles, as well as 52 liters of beer or coolers, or about 12 dozen of those. There are conditions. You see those drinks in front of you there. There are some conditions on them, though. The liquor has to be physically accompanied by the individual as it is brought into the province, and it has to be for personal consumption. It can be shared with a friend, but you can't sell it to your friends. Newfoundland and Labrador is one of the few places in the country with any limits at all. 10 other provinces and territories have completely gotten rid of those regulations, or they plan to do so. Well, Iceberg Alley and its giant blue tent may stay in St. John's after all. Festival operator John Steele revealed earlier this month that the event was close to striking a deal to move from its location near Kitivity Lake and pack up and move to Mount Pearl. Steele said the festival had been trying to negotiate a long-term agreement with the city of St. John's, but they just couldn't reach a deal. But this afternoon, St. John's Mayor Danny Breen confirmed that after some talks, the issue is back on the agenda for Monday's council meeting. Well, if you're planning to shop online this holiday season, there is a good chance that your package is going to pass through the Dieppe postal facility in New Brunswick. That's where the majority of Atlantic Canada's packages are processed. But if your parcel is bound for this island, the Dieppe depot can feel a little bit like the Bermuda Triangle. The CBC's Gary Moore explains.
The time of the year to get that perfect gift for someone special is officially here. And once that package is sent, the anticipation begins at the other end. So thank goodness for online tracking. Canada Post customers can follow the happy journey bouncing from city to city, getting ever closer to its destination, until it hits Dieppe. Packages that are bound for Newfoundland sort of stall in New Brunswick.
Dieppe is like the Hotel California of packages. Like, it just ends up there, but it cannot ever leave.
Newfoundlanders like Tom Cochran can't understand what happens at Canada Post in Dieppe. Online tracking shows parcels stuck there for days before finally landing on Newfoundland doorsteps. But Canada Post says Dieppe is not the black hole it appears to be.
We're not delaying those items. We're loading them and putting them on trailers, and we're sending them on their way.
Here's the problem. Once packages leave New Brunswick, they're not scanned again until they reach Newfoundland, meaning most parcels aren't stuck in Dieppe. More likely, they're sitting on a ferry halfway to Newfoundland. So if I want to send this package to my buddy Peter Cowan in St. John's,
It's going to take 31.5 hours for this parcel to get here, and that's if there's no delays. Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome. And during that whole time, the last online scan shows still in Dieppe, even though it's long left the facility. Blizzard says he understands the confusion.
Finally, before you see that next scan where it's arrived in Newfoundland, you ponder what's going on.
Blizzard says changes are coming to the online scan system next fall, and that's when customers will be able to see where exactly a package is stranded. And he says it's likely already on its way to Newfoundland and not stuck in Dieppe. Gary Moore, CBC News, Fredericton.
All right, still waiting for my toot, Gary. Must be stuck in the mail. To other news, a first for the Canadian National Institute for the Blind in St. John's. 2 four-legged graduates were celebrated today at the group's headquarters near Kitty Vitty. Here now's Mark Quinn was along for the ride.
It's a big day for 2 beautiful golden retrievers. 1-year-old Ivy has good reason to be excited, but remained calm. And at 2 years old, staying cool and collected is old hat for Maple. First thing this morning, their partners visited CBC to sing their praises. Kelly Pecco is partnered with Maple, and 9-year-old Rhea now spends a lot of time with Ivy. Ivy, who was clearly pleased to be out of the rain, fought hard to stay awake. It was more festive here at the CNIB headquarters in St. John's, but Maple and Ivy, the first dogs to ever graduate from the training program in this province, still remained supremely chill. Ivy is a buddy dog, a dog trained to help someone with vision loss prepare to eventually own a guide dog. And Rhea clearly loves her.
She poops and pees. She bit Maple, Kelly's guide dog. She lets me lie on her stomach. I give her a hug and kiss. She is my BFF. I'm so happy for my buddy dog.
Maple is a full-fledged guide dog. She's been living and working with Kelly for a few months now.
Before I was matched with Maple, I wasn't quite as independent. I wasn't comfortable navigating around unfamiliar areas on my own. But now, since being matched with Maple, I feel more confident going around public areas such as Walmart or the mall on my own.
The CNIB hopes this pair is just the first of many dogs that graduate in this province. Right now, only 50% of the graduates are cool with the hats. But the group says that shouldn't keep them from graduating up to 20 more guide and buddy dogs like Ivy and Maple across the country next year. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Welcome back to the program. First, we start with breaking news.
Temperatures are dropping into the minus single digits.
Time now to check in with our Carolyn Stokes.
It is just packed with people.
The company says it's picking up salmon.
Looks like an absolutely gorgeous afternoon.
Okay, I had to go out on a cat-related matter that I won't bore you with, but I noticed when I opened the door of the car, almost went snapping right off.
Open.
Whoa, a lot of wind out there today.
It was crazy today. Yeah, take a look at what the windy weather has done for the waves at Middle Cove Beach.
Whoa.
That is intense.
Lots of waves there. You don't want to get too close to that stuff.
Absolutely not. But I do love going and watching it, though.
It is fantastic.
There's something about it.
Yep.
Just being by the ocean and watching the waves.
Our videographer Gary Locke went out there. Managed to catch
the
that.
weather.
Yeah, I saw him afterwards. He looked kind of damp.
Yeah, because you can see even on the screen it's getting wet.
Yeah, spectacular though, huh?
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Great spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
one of my favorites.
Winds nonetheless, as you can see from up the hiking trail there. So what were the winds like?
Yeah, we saw some pretty strong winds.
Last night especially, yeah.
Last night, this morning. Take a look at some of these numbers that were recorded. So the top wind gust was in Heart's Delight, 118 kilometers per hour. Bonavista, pretty close to that. And then Bell Island recorded a gust near 108 kilometers per hour. In St. John's at the airport, only reached 82 kilometers per hour, at least.
It felt more like that. It felt stronger than that.
It felt way stronger than that. Certainly with that wind and rain whipping against the window last night, definitely felt a little bit different. But speaking of rain, wow, was it a wet one. 92 millimeters of rain fell at the airport. Here at CBC, it was about 96 millimeters. Portugal Cove, St. Philip, same thing. And yeah, really anywhere towards Bonavista even picking up 51 millimeters of rain. And we can thank an area of low pressure and those strong winds as well. Again, you can see that area of low pressure just off the center anyways, where that blue is. And then those stronger winds, hence why we're seeing so much wave action out there. But that low pressure system will eventually continue to track a little bit further east, and eventually those winds will ease. Not for long though, because the next system is already on the doorstep. That cold front's going to push through as well, and that's going to be our next weather maker as we head into tomorrow. We already have a wreck house wind warning in effect for tomorrow morning. Those winds are actually going to ramp up tonight, but the strongest will be tomorrow morning. About 120 kilometer per hour winds as that low continues to track further towards us, and as it does into the afternoon on Saturday, those winds will eventually ease and that warning will end. So here's tonight, not a whole lot happening. We do have that snow though up through Labrador. You're looking at about good 10 centimeters possible for areas in Lab West, and that'll head towards central Labrador as we head into the overnight and early morning hours. And then that rain moves in for the southwest. Could be heavy at times as well, but those winds will generally ease. So Corner Brook looking at about -1 tonight, -3 for Grand Falls, Windsor. Still looking at that risk of either showers, rather drizzle, or flurries tonight. And then the winds will eventually ease by morning for the St. John's area. You're looking at 3 degrees overnight tonight. -2 at Valley Goose Bay and Lab City. You're going to sit at -8 tonight. There's that low as it moves through. Again, along the west coast, there's a potential for this to start as snow or a wet snow. That should change over to rain in the afternoon as we get into a more southerly flow, so it'll bump up those temperatures a little bit, but it is more rain for the rest of the island, and then snow as you head towards the coast. Coastal areas right along the coast, though, that should be rain tomorrow afternoon. And then eventually some colder air will wrap around, and then it's going to change the potential for some flurries Saturday night into Sunday morning along the south coast and then towards eastern Newfoundland as well. So for tomorrow, your temperatures will be sitting around 6-7 degrees for the most part. And then as you head a little bit further west, a little cooler, 4 to 5 degrees. But again, those windy conditions between 60 and 70 kilometers per hour, it looks like for most of us. And then up through Labrador, not quite as windy, but Lab City, you should start to see those flurries taper off by morning. Generally cloudy through the day as that system moves a little bit further east. So that's a look at your forecast for Saturday. I have your Sunday forecast coming up for the Christmas parade.
Thanks, Ashley. Tonight, the Basilica Cathedral in St. John's will be the stage for a story about hope and the human spirit. The Atlantic Boy Choir is presenting a musical and narrative performance of A Christmas Truce. Carolyn Stokes dropped in on the rehearsal this afternoon.
It's a grand grand backdrop for a powerful story about a Christmas truce. The Atlantic Boy Choir, along with narrator Greg Malone, will be performing that show tonight here at the Basilica. I spoke with the conductor, Jacob Martinez, and Greg Malone about the show.
It's about truce. It's about peace front on Christmas Day, 105 years ago. One of the most powerful stories. And supported by voices of the Atlantic Boy Choir, Atlantic String Quartet, and many wonderful guests, all narrated by fabulous Greg Malone.
Tell us about the story. What happened on that day in 1914?
It's an incredible story. Everyone was gearing up for this war. All the generals had all their soldiers in line and everything, and they started the fighting. They were about 6 months into it, and Christmas hit. And a lot of these soldiers had known each other before. They had studied in Germany. The Germans had studied in London. It was you know, they liked their life. They liked each other. They knew each other. And suddenly there's a spontaneous movement across lines, across no man's land, to reach out to the enemy, singing songs, telling stories, exchanging gifts. Finally, some of the officers arranged a truce, but it was already happening up and down the lines, this kind of spontaneous gestures of affection and friendship for the guys that they were shooting at only a while before. It's a very rare story. I don't know if you've heard of many stories like that. And this is the Great War. It went on for 5 years after this and just about destroyed Europe. So those kids were right. They should have stopped then, right? You know? That's the way, that was the feeling. They didn't want that war.
Saw an incredible sight of our soldiers exchanging cigarettes, schnapps, and chocolate with the enemy.
What makes it so powerful is the fact that our boys and young men that are playing the roles of the soldiers are exactly the same age. They are 16, 18, 19 years old. So when you watch them tell the story and sing and share their voices, it makes it so powerful.
And the centerpiece of tonight's performance is Silent Night. Can you tell us the importance of that particular song?
Well, Silent Night is one of the most played, most famous carols. That was the piece that I believe was performed then, and they sang it in German and in English, and then shared voices and sang that together. So we are trying to replicate that and do it tonight as well. And also, of course, there's so much more than that. We are doing arrangements of beautiful carols by Wilcox and Schubert, Psalm 23, and beautiful music that's performed by us and also by Atlantic String Quartet.
You know, how relevant is that story to what's happening in the world today?
I think it's tremendously relevant as people are desperate to stop hostilities on so many fronts around the world. And as the world becomes, it seems to be a harder, more corporate, more distant place, less human. We struggle for more humanity, like, you know what I mean? And this is a story of simple, touching humanity.
This story is more important now than it ever was.
And I guess there are still tickets left for tonight?
Yes, come tonight, come in, there's space for you. You're welcome.
And starts at 7:30, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for speaking with us, and good luck tonight.
Thanks for that.
One day I would like to be as well known and as good as you at what you do.
A special assignment to meet the musician who inspires her the most, preserving his culture through classical music, ahead on Here and Now. Welcome back. Well, as you saw on last night's show, Spirit Song is drawing Indigenous artists, storytellers, and performers from right across the country to St. John's. The festival is in its 6th year, and it highlights Indigenous culture and traditions. Cease Hare sat in on a workshop offered today that teaches traditional powwow dancing. Have a look.
It looks easy enough at first glance, but this is just the warm-up. Once limber, participants are shown basic steps, the differences between masculine and feminine dances, and a mixture of beats. Everything moves: feet, hips, arms, dipping and swaying, lots of bouncing, working up a sweat.
This is our traditional way of keeping fit, you know. It gets cold around here, so if we just hibernate like the bear, we might end up looking like a bear. So, you know, this is what we've done since time immemorial.
Pazazem is from New Brunswick, and his goal today is to get this group comfortable enough to dance at the next powwow they attend. He feels teaching can strengthen relationships in a divided country.
So it's really important to me to be able to share that, because what's really important is at this time in our history of Canada, there's a lot of building bridges. And in order to do that, you really need to see where people come from.
So much more going on than just dancing. Melanie Cuz is from Ontario. She feels the same way. She says dance helps her stay linked with those who came before.
Connection with my ancestors and the earth, just feeling my culture and traditions again, and just do what we were meant to do, I guess.
Most importantly, Cuz says, teaching various powwow dances and styles to young people will help their personal growth and development.
So they can identify with themselves again and feel like they belong here, because a lot of the time we do feel outcast, even though, you know, people say they want to include us. We're still trying to teach people what we are about.
Pazazem says he's held this class in St. John's before, and he's encouraged by the repeats he saw and the new faces in the group. Cease Hare, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, another special performance from the Spirit Song Festival. Jeremy Dutcher will take the stage at the Arts and Culture Centre in St. John's tonight. The classically trained singer and pianist performs traditional songs in his ancestral language. And earlier today, Dutcher had an intimate conversation with a young fan who wants to be just like him. Here's Here and Now's Zach Gowdy.
Cassidy Lush has been learning songs in her ancestral Mi'kmaq language since she was a little girl, so CBC is giving her a special assignment.
I interviewed Jeremy Dutcher.
Are you nervous?
A little bit, but at the same time I'm super excited. He's a really big inspiration to me.
Dutcher is a member of the Tabik First Nation in New Brunswick and one of only about 100 speakers of the Wolastoqey language. His debut album fuses traditional songs with classical, jazz, and other modern musical styles. He's won the Polaris Prize, a Juno Award, and international acclaim.
Hi! Nice to meet you too.
But this morning, he has an audience of one.
You're such a big inspiration to me because of how you don't only sing in your language, but you also sing classically and chorally, and it's one day I would like to be as well known and as good as you at what you do.
It's not just about, for me, ever popularity or like how many records I sell. You know, it's about like the kinds of messages that you can get out into the world while people are still listening. Our songs and our languages, there's so much embedded within them, and so it's really critical that our young people, we keep it alive.
Yeah. And pass it down from generation to generation so that it can always be there. I don't want our cultures to be lost.
That's so important, and it's so critical right now. Mi'kmaq language is really, there's a really strong push. They have immersion schools and stuff, but in my Wolastoqey language, there's less than 100 fluent speakers left. Yeah. So it's like really critical right now in this moment that we are keeping that language strong, because it's our worldview. It's who we are as people. It's carried through our language.
Dutcher performs tonight in St. John's as part of the Spirit Song Festival. Then he's back on the road for shows in Corner Brook and Happy Valley Goose Bay. And the trail that Dutcher is blazing, young people like Cassidy aim to follow. Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
A young girl's death last year at a Christmas parade in Nova Scotia deeply affected a local business owner over what's being done to honor her life, as well as to help a group of children across the globe. That's coming up.
Clyde Oxford, the one-handed fisherman who finds ways to get things done, by hook or by crook. Sunday at noon and Monday at 7.
We're going to turn to national news now. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Vancouver has done something that no other Catholic diocese has ever done in Canada. It has released the names and photos of several priests who were linked to historical sexual abuse claims.
Hope it pressures other dioceses to do the same. We'll hopefully see some action and some further pronouncements that support the theme that is very inherent in this document, which is we've got to do better and we're going to do better.
An independent committee hired by the church reviewed the cases of 36 priests dating back to the 1950s. And most involved the abuse of children. But the Archdiocese report has only included the names of 9 priests, those either criminally convicted or who settled lawsuits. Most of those publicly named are now dead. Lawyers for the church say privacy and defamation concerns prevent them from naming the 27 others. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was largely absent from the public eye during the last federal election campaign, but Justin Trudeau frequently invoked his name as a way of disparaging Conservative policies. Well, today the two sat down in Ottawa to talk about shared priorities.
Obviously not going to agree on everything, but the things that we do agree on, I look forward to working respectfully, collaboratively, cooperatively.
A lot of the people that voted for the Prime Minister, not all, but a lot of them voted for me, and people expect us to work together.
Well, they talked about transit, the CN strike, and the importance of national unity. Apparently, pharmacare was also discussed, with Ford suggesting a possible role for the private sector in that. They did not talk about their opposing views on carbon pricing. Well, 1 year ago, the community of Yarmouth, Nova Scotia was mourning after 4-year-old Macaulay Cormier was tragically killed during an annual Christmas parade. But out of that tragedy, Macaulay's family received a gift of hope thanks to a well-known businessman from this province, the owner of Mary Brown's. It's a gift that's also helping children a world away. The CBC's Elizabeth Chio has that story.
It was 1 year ago this weekend. Macaulay Cormier was only 4 years old when she died in the most innocent and horrific way. At her town's Christmas parade, she fell under a float. Her death touched people around the world.
We certainly believe that good things come out of bad things.
Husband and wife, Rolly and Beth Hannum, are teachers in Yarmouth. Rolly works at the elementary school where Macaulay would have attended. Macaulay was one of their 9 grandchildren.
This could have been her classroom.
Yes.
Every person that has emailed, every person that has reached out to us, everything has made us know that we're not going through this alone, which is huge. And it brings us comfort because we can't go back. We must move forward, one day at a time, one step at a time, and to know that there are people out there who are thinking of Macaulay and who will go forward knowing who she was. It's comforting.
One of those messages came on Facebook 2 days before Christmas. It was a blast from the past when Rolly taught in Roberts Arm, Newfoundland, back in the 80s. He had made an impact on a student, Gregory Roberts, and so had the tragedy.
And Greg was writing to us about the accident and how he was struggling on dealing with it himself. So his proposal to me was that he wanted to build a medical clinic in memory of Macaulay. It was very overwhelming. I sat in the car and I cried because the last thing, after going through all of the tragedy and all of the things that go with funerals and all the things that happen afterwards, this was the event that sort of started to bring us back up.
A gift of comfort that lifted their spirits from a former student, now a CEO and philanthropist. The new medical clinic is up and running on the other side of the world.
And here's our youngest baby and our head nurse. This clinic today has been donated by Gregory Roberts.
Avis Rideout is from Gregory Roberts' hometown, Triton, Newfoundland, and she's the founder of the orphanage Agape Home in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Out of that tragedy, there's a memorial clinic at Agape, and Gregory Roberts was also made it possible for that to happen.
For her grandparents, there's a glimmer of hope through helping other children.
It really captures Macaulay's spirit because she was a very compassionate, a very caring person. She loved to help, and this clinic is, and that's exactly what this clinic will do for the children of the orphanage.
Who knows? We may have a teacher who ends up in Canada that grew up in the orphanage, and because we have no idea where this leads. This is the one that we'll be sending for the plaque.
The medical unit will be named after Macaulay.
She'll continue to be the happy, outgoing little girl. Only it will be in the faces of some other children. How far is it?
From Nova Scotia to Newfoundland to Thailand, Macaulay Cormier is being remembered. Elizabeth Chu, CBC News, Yarmouth.
Welcome back. All right, some more rain tomorrow, and then...
And then we get a little bit of a wind shift, which means we could see the potential for some flurries late day.
Okay.
Or at least late afternoon, evening, rather.
Bound to happen.
It's bound to happen. So here's a look at what the future tracker is showing. So you can see that flurry in the blues and whites there. So that's going to happen more than likely overnight. And then as we head towards the afternoon on Sunday, it does look like the clouds should thin out, and hopefully that happens before the sun goes down. But again, we're still looking at some onshore flurries possible, especially up along the Long Range Mountains and up through northern portions of the Big Land, as well as around Happy Valley, Goose Bay. You're still looking at that potential for some flurries. Then the next system moves in late day, Sunday, overnight really, into the beginning of Monday, and this one looks like it'll be a wet one as well. So here's a look at the temperatures on Sunday. Not really moving much. We're still sitting between 3 and 5 degrees. Those winds a little breezy as well through the day. So if you are planning on heading out to the Christmas parade, here's what your forecast looks like. So it does look like it should be cloudy, slight chance of some drizzle and or flurries, sitting around 3 degrees, but with those windy west-northwesterlies between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour, that wind chill is going to feel closer to -3. So certainly bundle up. There is a chance we could see the sun peek out. Again, hopefully that happens before the end of the parade. But not a bad forecast really overall. Could be a lot worse. Could be a lot more rain like we're going to see on Monday. So that rain's going to move in the early morning hours. Could start as some snow again along the west coast. Quickly change over to rain though, because those temperatures are going to bump right back up. More snow on the way for Labrador. Southeastern portions will likely see a rain-snow mix or change over to rain again through the day on Tuesday. This one's going to linger around. We get back into that northwesterly flow or onshore flow along the west coast. So it could be another squall setup. Wednesday, quiets down, but it still does look drizzly for most of us on the island. And then coastal Labrador, again, looking at that potential for some flurries. And then the next system moves in for Thursday. This one looks like it'll bring some snow, especially for central and west coast, as we get another one of those setups where we get that rain-snow line. So here's a look at the next couple days. Staying in the 3 to 5 degree range. We're not really going to move much. And best chance of seeing that sun looks like it'll be Sunday. Wednesday.
Oh, I suspect that your microphone has vanished.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's it for our weather. We will come back to our weather in just a moment. Oh my. Okay, we got a fascinating story for you to see. You've got to see this. It's an archival photo from Canada's Gold Rush days, and it has the internet buzzing. Why? Because of an incredible, and I mean incredible, uncanny resemblance between two girls, past and present. This photo was taken in the Yukon 121 years ago in 1898. Now look closely at this unnamed girl. She is the spitting image of Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg. Just look at that. They even wear their hair the same way. They have a side braid, and it's on the same side. It sparked a number of conspiracy theories online, like it would, but the image is definitely not photoshopped. It's been sitting in the University of Washington's archives for the last 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
That's pretty great.
Time traveler, maybe?
It definitely looks like
Ahead
it.
of her time?
That's insane.
Unbelievable. It is quite something when you actually look at that.
This is a photo from the collection of a photographer by the name of Eric Haig, who was also Swedish, curiously enough.
All right, another coincidence here. The Swedish photographer took hundreds of pictures of miners and prospectors on their way to the Klondike in the late 1800s. Now, there's no word yet on whether Greta Thunberg has seen the photo of her doppelganger, but Fridays for Future, the climate activist group, says while the girl really does look like Greta, it's important to listen to science, and apparently, putting me in my place, there is no evidence that time travel actually exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or so they say.
Or so they say. Yeah, exactly.
How would we know? All right, we're going to actually go back in time ourselves right now, back to our weather
We are. Sorry about that. Technology, right? I think this is where I was in Western Newfoundland. Your temperatures, I mean, really, do you want to hear this forecast? It doesn't look very good. Anyway, it's going to be gray essentially right into the middle of next week. So you're looking at temperatures between 1 and 4 degrees. Up through Labrador, not much better. Similar temperatures with a similar forecast, just because we are in that time of the year where we see one system after another. And for Western Labrador, you're looking at sun potentially tomorrow, and then back to those gray skies for the middle of the week. Well, winter has certainly arrived. This is a beautiful shot. I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where this is too when we come back.
The railway bed? No?
Nope.
Time for a look at big birthdays and anniversaries. A happy 60th anniversary on Wednesday to Bob and Shirley Perry in Corner Brook. Happy 50th anniversary greetings to Wally and Judy Russell in Carmenville. And on Monday, it was a happy 62nd anniversary for Bob and Doris Smith in Twillingate. On Tuesday, it was a happy 60th wedding anniversary day for Mac and Elizabeth Rousel in Point Leamington. And happy 53rd anniversary greetings to Reuben and Lavinia Elliott in Mainbrook on the Great Northern Peninsula.
Happy 55th anniversary Wednesday to Edgar and June Napier in Sandy Cove. Happy 55th anniversary this Sunday to Hartley and Julie Spencer from Marguerite. Happy 53rd wedding anniversary to Rita and Fred Williams in Bay Bulls. Happy 50th wedding anniversary yesterday to Bill and Linda Lagmead in Pooch Cove. And happy 50th wedding anniversary greetings also yesterday to Leo and Sharon McDonald in Heatherton.
And happy 59th anniversary to Raymond and Eileen Crane in Calvert. Happy 60th anniversary on the 20th to Lloyd and Jane Clark in St. John's. Also on Wednesday, it was a happy 62nd wedding anniversary for Howard and Alice Lomond from Corner Brook. And happy 56th anniversary to Wilson and Joyce Nicole in Rocky Harbor. And Joyce, who we spoke with, said it was a happy day, but also very sad, same day that Kennedy was shot. Moving along on the 20th as well, it was a 55th anniversary celebration for Lorraine and Harvey Welsh in White Away, Trinity Bay.
Stuart and Frances Bird of Charlottetown, Labrador will celebrate their 54th anniversary tomorrow. Congratulations. And on Tuesday, it was a happy birthday to Clyde Kosh, who turned 90. He is formerly from Stag Harbor, Fogo Island, but now lives in Shoal Harbor. Dorothy Knoll turned 90 years old yesterday. Congratulations. And happy 50th anniversary to Primrose and Albert Mills from Comfort Code Newstead. Happy 55th anniversary to Donald and Luck Pack at Hermitage.
And happy birthday to Cecil Paddock in Grand Falls, Windsor, who celebrated his 93rd birthday on Wednesday. And a happy 90th birthday as well to Irene Gale in Robinsons. Happy birthday to Lillian Critch, who celebrated her 90th birthday on Tuesday. Lillian's from Morton's Harbor and now lives in Marystown. Happy birthday today to Hercilia Moores from Brigus, now living in Clark's Beach. 104 birthday candles. Wow. And 50th anniversary greetings yesterday to Purdy and Velma Petton. And you see that dog in the photo? That is their dear mini Yorkie named Yoshi.
Happy 95th birthday today to Joseph Hancock. He's originally from Fogo Island, now lives in Browns Arm. And happy 92nd birthday this Sunday to Sydney Guy and Leading Tickles. Happy 53rd anniversary tomorrow to Linda and Norman Skinner in Galtus. And Sandy and Glowina Foss from Embry are celebrating their 69th wedding anniversary. Love from their 4 daughters, 8 grandchildren, and 11 great-grandchildren. Lauren and Jill Rostotsky in St. John's are celebrating 50 years of marriage today. Charlotte Matthews Newman is celebrating her 106th birthday. Originally from Musgrave Town, now residing in Melbourne, Florida.
All right, 106, and the wisdom to spend her winter in Florida. Congratulations. Yeah. Nice looking people all around. Some big birthdays too. Okay, we were talking about time travel, and take a look at this. The unveiling of Tesla's latest electric vehicle didn't go quite as planned during a glitzy event in California.
No, it did not.
There, as you see it, Tesla's highly anticipated pickup truck was revealed to the public for the first time. Now, Ashley and I watched this a bit earlier. This stuff is made from the same steel as the SpaceX's Starship rocket. Kapow.
Yeah, and this demo is showing off the dent-proof exterior went off without a hitch, but the same cannot be said about the shatter-proof glass.
No.
It broke twice.
Twice, that's right. And then the stock apparently took a little bit of a tumble after this whole unveiling today. What do you think?
I think it looks cool. I don't know that I would buy one, but
Really?
it looks, well, just because, I don't know. Actually, it's pretty cool.
I'd like to take that down the Burgeo Highway, just to see what people would think. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
It does look like something from like 25, 26.
Yeah, that's true. Any excuse to go to Burgeo is what I meant. The photo.
Let's look at
there
the
we
photo.
go. And that's not the railway bed, you tell me, because there's not that much snow anywhere in the island, is there?
Well, there is. Winter
Okay.
has arrived. This was actually taken in Sheffield Lake, or near Sheffield Lake. So Adrian
Sheffield Lake.
Walsh sent us that photo.
Very nice. Thank you,
in
Adrian.
Central.
Appreciate that. I should mention I'm not going to be here next week. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at least. I'm going on assignment. So I'll see you next week. But Karen Stokes will be here. Have a great weekend.
Good night.